Yes, come on, people. Big up to you. 12 man's back. We've got a preview show to do because it's a massive weekend for the title race. Liverpool at Anfield against Manchester City. We're going to discuss it. We're also going to touch on West Ham, Arsenal. We're also going to touch on Chelsea, Villa. Three massive games, to be fair. Must say, three big games, and I expect all three of them to be exciting and entertaining. We should have Drifty joining us in a bit. We should have Martin joining us, but he's stuck in traffic. He might have to do it on his phone, so that's going to be all about signal for him. But we have got Roms in the house, and we've got Dan in the house. How you doing, gents?
I'm good, bro. I'm good.
Roms, you look like nervous. You're nervous. Yes, I'm good, bro. That's what you look like right now.
Because of some news I just read, bro.
Let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. The news has just broke that Konate is out for 6 weeks, I believe, man. And at the moment, there's still no Trent, I believe, or is he back?
Trent's back. Trent will be back for Sunday, but it's devastating, Potts, that in my opinion, he's been the best centre back in the league this season. This is ahead of Van Dijk. I think he's been immense. But I was at the game on Wednesday, right? Amazing game, great performance, atmosphere was rocking. But that was the bittersweet moment because I was with my friend and he said, like I was just telling you backstage, he said, "Oh, I'll be fine. Look, he's got up and walked." I said, "Hold on, we've seen many injuries in the history of football. You can get up and walk. Then the next day they do an assessment and you hear they're out for X amount of time." The only small positive is some people thought it would be months and months. It's 5 to 6 weeks, they're saying. So that's, I think, a month and a bit. But when he's such in form, and for me, the best this season, it's a massive blow. I know Gomez has won everything at the club, so I have more of my faith in Gomez than a Kwanzaa because Kwanzaa's hardly played this season. And I think that Ipswich game at the start of the season kind of did a lot to his confidence. And then I don't know if you'd have seen, there's been other stuff floating about on social media about Kwanzaa as well. And that's
Quagmire.
Yeah, that's
well, it wasn't recording Quagmire. It wasn't recording Quagmire. It was someone on my show. Was it Deji or someone like that? They were like, "Oh, this Quagmire guy at the back." And I was like, "Quagmire."
No, Deji, it probably was. This guy's full of jokes. Big up Deji. But
Quagmire.
Gomez coming into the fold. I hope it's Gomez because I think Kwanzaa, he's a good prospect and I think he's one for the future. Is he ready right now? In my opinion, no. And I think it was evident in the United game back in the last season. He didn't have the greatest game. I remember West Ham away last season. I trust Gomez more. He's won everything there is to win with Van Dijk, and I want him to come into the fold. But the thing is with this game on Sunday as well, Potts, I do think we win. Obviously, we'll probably get into predictions later, but I'm not going to predict something mad because I feel like when you play a team and their backs against the wall, I think all of our clubs have experienced it. I think there might be games, Potts, when Arsenal, everyone thinks they're going to lose. You churn out a surprise result. Same for you, Dan. For Chelsea, everyone thinks you're going to lose. You churn out a result. I don't think City will, but I feel like we still need to be humble and keep a lid on this. And this is before the Konate news, by the way. This was before this news broke out. You still need to, because I just don't really like when everyone's saying, everyone's acting like it's a guarantee. Yeah, Liverpool going to win. And I do think that can kind of transmit into the play. Sorry, my James Bond house phone is going off.
Love that, man. Love that. Love that.
And I'll come back.
Yeah, no worries, man.
It's stopped now. It's stopped.
Go on, man. Go on.
Yeah, but with listen, I need to change that. It's set for this James Bond thing. But I just feel I don't like this narrative that we've already won the game before a ball's been kicked because City are still City. Yes, this season they're 6 games in a row without a win. But they still have players. I think De Bruyne starts this game, and I think obviously he's still got match winners at him and Haaland that can turn it on his head. But it's just come out of the wrong time. For me, it's come out. And the thing is, he's injured for the busiest period of your season, the most hectic period of your season. You could say December kind of defines not where exactly you're going to finish, but you kind of know whereabouts. Once you go into January, you've had that hectic schedule. I don't know, but it's just annoying with the injury. But look, I've got full faith in Joe Gomez. He's won everything there is to win with Van Dijk, and I still think we do get the result. But it's devastating news, man. For me, he's been the best centre-back this year.
I agree. I think he's been outstanding, and I think it's an absolutely devastating piece of news for as far as Liverpool are concerned. Look, I think that you will be okay without him because you're playing Man City at a good time. But Man City turn it on with Haaland, and they can always score. We know this, right? But I think that Kwanzaa's quite good, actually. I actually rate him. I think he's a good player. And I think if Trent's back, then you won't have to worry about playing sort of Gomez at fullback, and then because you've got otherwise you've had to play. Oh, I suppose you've got Conor Bradley actually, but you get my point.
He's
There's a lot.
injured. He's injured, Potts. He's
Oh, so
injured
he's
as
out.
well.
So you could, if Trent was, then you could have Gomez and Konsa both playing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think Trent's back in, so he should be okay with that. Look, I don't think that's going to matter too much. That doesn't really change my prediction about this game. I just think that Liverpool got too much at the moment, the way they're playing, the way that City are playing. I think you're going to open them up. And I'm hearing that they've got injury problems as well, from what I hear. John Stones, I think, might be out now as well. And that was the one player that I thought they could have actually tried to bring into midfield to change it up a little bit, to try and get a little bit of legs in there, because they're getting run. They're not even getting run in midfield. They're getting walks past in midfield by the likes of Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, Kovacic, all these guys that are in the 30-plus region. I don't think it will really make any massive difference, Dan. Do you?
I don't. I think defensively, City just look woeful. I think you're nail on the head there with their midfield in transition looks slow. Defensively, they look all over the place on so many different occasions. It's not just one particular aspect of the game that's catching them out at the moment. It's a number of aspects that they're struggling with. This Liverpool side are just perfect for the way City are at the moment. City are a mess, and Liverpool under Slot this season have been so calculated, and they're patient and they wait for the right moment. And I heard people saying, what if they double up on Salah and they make it difficult for him? Liverpool have got players firing in all different positions at the moment. And if Salah is marked at the game by Manchester City and they go about it in a slightly different way, then I'm sure Liverpool will step up in other areas. The biggest threat for Liverpool, obviously, is Konate getting injured. Who comes in? Are they up for the challenge against Haaland? And if Haaland can score, Haaland's been hitting the woodwork an awful lot in the last few weeks. I mean, he's almost getting unlucky because last season these goals were still going in. I was looking at the stats. He scored nearly 60% of all of City's goals this season. So they're really not blessed going forward with other players scoring goals. I mean, I look at the output of Savio, Doku, Foden, Bernardo Silva, players that have been able to do that in recent seasons. They're just not turning up at the moment. I think John Stones is potentially probably there with Vardio as their second and third highest goal scorers behind Haaland. I'm not sure, but I can't think of many others that have been chipping away. Diaz might be back, though, in terms of centre-backs.
I think he is back. From what I've read, I think he is back. And I think they've missed his leadership. He's that tough guy. They've been not even just in the midfield and the strike force. They've been a bit soft even at the back for me. Do you know what I mean? So I think Diaz coming in, it kind of solidifies them. But I think you're spot on, Dan. And I think, I know this is cliche, but most games are won in the midfield battle. And I think any combination City try and make, it doesn't pull down any trees for me. Like, I think Bernardo Silva's legs are slightly going. Kevin De Bruyne can't really stay fit. Even though he'll be back, he won't be back at his optimum level. You've got, who else is in there? Gundogan's legs are shot. He can't run. The only guy for me that's very industrious in the midfield is Matheus Nunes, but they've been playing him out wide. And I think he'll probably come into the midfield. But you can't just have one guy running. And I think that's where we're going to dominate. Because right now, Gravenberch and McAllister are the main two, but then we've got the option of Szoboszlai or Jones, and Elliot. Elliot won't start, but because he's still not even come off the bench, which concerns me a bit. It's that he's not even getting the last 5-10 minutes. But I just think for this game in isolation, who we have available and who they don't have available, I think we'll dominate the midfield, and that's how I think we actually get the result. I think the midfield win us the game on Sunday, personally. But yeah, City are just they're in a bad run of form. What I will say though, I think we see a better City performance. Even though I think we win the game, I think because they know if they pretty much lose this, I'm not saying title's completely done for them, but the deficit's going to be mad, even for their standards. Because, yeah, you can say, because I've said it on shows with you two and LB many times, yeah, you can say they'll invest in January, and I do believe they will, and I believe they get players in early. However, their next couple games, I think, are bogey teams like Forest, Palace. I think there's another team in there. I can't remember off the top of my head. Let's say the deficit's more than 11 points by January. It's kind of like, well, regardless who you buy, you're still playing catch up by a big deficit. So I don't know, man. I just feel with City, you'll see a better performance. I think you won't see as bad as the performance you've seen in their last couple of games, but I still think we'll have too much. And Anfield's rocking at the moment. Yeah, sometimes you get people saying the myth, is it really that loud? That was my first Champions League game, by the way. I'd been many times, but that was my first, and it's different on Champions League night. And when the big six come to Anfield, whether it's like Arsenal, Chelsea, City, or United, we always bring the noise. So Yeah, I still back us to get the result, but I don't think it will be as easy as some of our fan base are saying. That's all.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting what Man City do with their lineup, really. I think if they've got players back and Diaz is back, I'll bring Martin in a minute. Obviously, if they've got Ake back, you go Ake left back, maybe Gvardiol and Diaz, and then a Kanji right back. That's what I do. Something like that changes it up and makes it more solid, and then bring maybe one of the youngsters into midfield through their academy. Because at the moment, you can't play what they're playing in midfield. They're just getting walked past.
Yeah.
Actually embarrassing. They've also got to look at players as well to actually step up. Like I'm looking at players at the moment thinking, where is Foden? Like, where is he? Like, this is a guy that is supposed to be the player of the season of last year. And, rightly so, I think he's quality. But where's he gone? Is there some problems off the field with him or something? Because he hasn't been right in the head, in my opinion. From what I'm seeing, he's invisible, disappearing in games. Haaland's missing chances, but when he doesn't score, I think their highest scorers, Gvardiol or Kovacic, if I'm honest, which is poor. So where is Grealish? Where is Doku? Where's this Savio guy? Is he going to score yet? No, really, come towards December now and he hasn't got a goal yet. What's happening here? So something's wrong at City. And I think Pep will get it right, but I don't know if it's going to be this weekend, man. Big up to Martin. Let's get him on. Martin, are you there, bro? I know you've got problems with signal. Can you hear us, man?
I've had problems for 4.5 hours. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, mate.
Hello.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I've had better days. I've had better days, 4.5 hours in traffic. Fun times.
Right, it doesn't sound fun, bro. It doesn't sound fun.
Yeah,
it sounds about as fun as your football team in a moment, mate.
Yeah, just nothing's going right at the minute. Nothing is going right at the minute. All I'm going to say is pray for us this weekend. Pray for us because we're in a mess. We're in a total mess at the minute. I don't know who's fit. I don't know who's ready. I don't think KDB or Diaz will start. So we just have to go with what we can. I wouldn't put any youngsters in midfield. The last thing I'd do is put youngsters anywhere near this right now. I really wouldn't.
What would you do in midfield, though, Mark? What would you do? Because there's problems in midfield, isn't there?
Yeah. Ideally, I'd love Foden and KDB together and just go for it. Make it a basketball game. But right now, I'd have a Kanji at right back. Diaz, Ake, Gvardiol, make it can. And I'm still going to as my 6 because I don't think he's to be very strained.
We're losing you, bro.
Yeah, he's gone.
I think we've lost him.
He's gone through a tunnel, probably.
Yeah.
Only on the motorway.
You know when you go in a tunnel and then you're like, you definitely can't hear him. I think he's saying Kanji.
Sorry,
Kanji.
I've gone.
You're back,
Oh,
Martin.
there you go.
Let me leave and come back.
All right, mate. No worries. We could hear you, though. We can hear you better now. Bless him, man. He's having a nightmare. He texted me. He said, I've been stuck in traffic for 3 hours. And I was like, oh, that just sounds hell. So he's like, if I can join on my phone, I'll do it. But I won't have my camera on. Yeah, look, I know what he's saying about not putting a youngster in midfield, but I feel like he needs to change it up, Pep. Like, if he starts with the 3 in midfield that he has been, I don't think it's going to be working. Like Foden, I agree with. Obviously, that's a given. And I think he'll obviously be Haaland up top. I imagine he'll probably go at the moment. I think Grealish and Doku have got problems unless Martin can tell me one of them's back. So I imagine they'll play Nunes on the left and then on the right will be Savio. And then in midfield, they've got to decide which 2 they go with. And if it's Bernardo and Kovacic or Bernardo and Gundogan or whatever bit, it's not working, is it? That just ain't working.
Gundo is okay, like in terms of on the ball, if they're in possession, I think they can get away with him. I don't think he's as good as what he was, but I think they could get away with it. I think it's just in transition, out of possession, he just looks lost. I felt sorry for him the other day. Like he tried to sprint and then just nothing happened. And I just felt like that's a guy that's sort of realizing that he just doesn't have it in his legs anymore. I actually think I would, if I was Pep, and I'm not, but I would debate playing Vardio in midfield.
I suggested this the other day.
I think he is the most dynamic player they've got left as an option. I think if they can have Diaz fit, Akanji and Ake, they can play 3 at the back. Vardiol could potentially play that inverted left back sort of role, come into midfield, and then potentially allow the likes of Foden, Bernardo Silva, I don't know if he's available, to play a little bit further up. And then he would sort of be able to sit in there with a 3 and then a 1. And I just think he's probably dynamic enough to be able to do that and have the legs that they just don't have at the moment. I don't know what you guys think of that.
I mean, Vardiol to me has been one of their better players. I don't think that he would be a bad option in there. I'm just looking at some of the players, O'Reilly, McAtee. Maybe it's not the game to bring him in, as Martin said. At Anfield, it's a massive, massive test. But
We got
they need
back.
to be in there. Go on, Martin. Go on, bro.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, no, saying I won't bring any of the kids in.
Yeah.
You saw them went on Tuesday night. We bring on McAtee and Simpson Pooza, take Gundogan and Foden off, and we fold like an house of cards. So it's not the time for the kids. You keep the kids as far away from this as you can at the minute. It is what it is. It's. I don't hold much hope. I've said we're already out the title race, in my opinion, unless Liverpool capitulate.
Wow.
I think by the time we get people ready, I think by the time we're back to, because listen, this ain't gonna last forever. This isn't gonna last forever. It is what it is. We're just going through a blip. We'll get there, but I do think the title race is over for us. I do. I'm not gonna lie. We've had 4 years of highs. I think
You win at the weekend, Martin.
if we win at the weekend, that's very different. But I've got more chance of me winning the lottery than City winning at the weekend, mate.
Wow.
What do you want me to say? I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to come on here and Billy BS people when for 4 years we've sat with chests out and everything else. We've got to eat a bit of bumble pie now. We've allowed the squad to age out too much. We've replaced first team players with squad players. It is what it is. But you know, we've just got to get to January, stay in the fight as close as we can, get 1 or 2 recruits, and then we do the rebuilding in the summer. It is what it is.
So I missed your midfield, Martin, that you would go with the weekend because you crumbled on the signal. So what would you go with in midfield?
I'd stick with Gundo. For me, I would go Bernardo potentially as a 6, and I'd go KDB and Foden and make it a basketball game. But I don't think KDB starts. I don't know what's going on with him at the minute. He's been training for absolute ages, but for some reason he can only do 15 minutes. I think he'll go with Gundo as the 6, Foden and Bernardo. That's all we can go with. We haven't got anybody else, unless you throw kids in. There is no other options.
What about Gvardiol? Because Dan was just saying as you were off about Gvardiol.
No.
No?
Have you seen Gvardiol defend at the minute? He couldn't defend his way out of a paper bag at the minute. Great going forward.
Martin, that's what I was saying. Are you better off moving him away from the defence and putting him into midfield because at least he's got legs to recover?
No, because you're asking him Dan to do the CDM role.
Yeah, I think he can do it. I'd like to see him in that role.
Can't tackle at the minute.
I think Akanji's done it at Dortmund before.
Yeah, again, the trouble is, Akanji's playing with painkiller injections. Stones can't get more than 2 games in a month.
Very early on in his career as well.
But Nathan Ake's playing with painkiller injections.
Oh,
he can't do 90 minutes at the minute. I don't know what's happened this year, but I think we've just took every player to the max. I think for 4 years we've flogged them, absolutely flogged them like absolute whipping boys. And I think this year they've just collapsed. There's nothing left in the tank on any of them.
Mate, this is what it is. I never thought I'd hear Martin defeated like this in November. I never thought
I'm not defeated because we'll be back. Don't trust me. We'll be back for the title next year. But Dan, this is why no one's ever done 4 or 5 in a row.
Yeah.
How do you do it? We didn't make the right signings. I think we didn't make the signings because Cheeky was going. Pep didn't decide until February what he was doing. So how do you rebuild a squad when your chief exec's out the door and Pep won't tell anyone what he's doing?
What I heard today from Arteta in the press conference, I actually think he was really complimentary to Manchester City because they said to him, like, what do you make of Man City's form? And you can see he definitely has respect for Man City still. I know a lot of Man City fans hate him now and all that. To be fair, some of the Arsenal fans hate him. But when I look at what he said, I was actually quite complimentary. I think it was complimentary because he basically said, let's not look at their form now. Let's look at what they have done. Because how they've done this for 4 years is incredible and not really drop off ever. And I think, Liverpool fans have been put through nightmares through Klopp. Arsenal, the last couple of years, have had nightmares. The form of Arsenal and Liverpool, let's have it right, was exceptional. And it just weren't nowhere near as good enough for Man City. Now they've had a fall. He wasn't looking at, I know it's brilliant, isn't it? It's about time. He was saying, like, well, I can't believe they haven't done this before now. Because how can you go 4 years? And how many games was it? Something mad, 51, 52 games at home unbeaten. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, it's absolutely phenomenal record what has happened.
Exactly.
Martin, I agree with you. I think it has got to a stage where there's just not been the replacements that have come in, and I just think they've got to the stage now where they need a little bit of a refresh and an upgrade.
Yeah, and I think we've all listened. City fans at the beginning were all 5 league titles were great, and we were because we'd won the first 5-6 games on the bounce without Rodri. But the trouble was, we couldn't afford any more injuries, and the next minute we've got eight extra injuries. We haven't got any midfielders anymore. Gundo wasn't meant to be coming back to play 38 games. He was meant to coming back closing 20-minute games out. Yeah, having to play him. The reason everyone was excited about Gundo because he was a superb backup to close 20 minutes out. He wasn't meant to play 38 league games. That wasn't the role he was asked to do. But Rodri's ACL, how on earth do you manage for an ACL injury? You don't manage for KDB going down. You don't manage for Foden having off-field problems. It is what it is. Grealish has had off-field problems. We've flogged them too hard. And it's caught up.
What's happening with Foden? Because a lot of people talked. I mean, LB was saying about Foden. He thinks something's happening off the field. You might know because I know you got links in the club. But is it just that? Is it his form? Is he not good at the moment? Like, is there something going on with his head? What's going on with him?
A little bit of both, mental, and he's lost over a stone in weight. He's had a problem or two off the field that I won't go into, but it is what it is. The problem is, when you win the PFA Player of the Year, you expect to carry on that form. But there is a reason you win the PFA Player of the Year, because you go above and beyond what you are used to do. But the trouble is, it's a curse and a blessing, because you win that award, and now everyone goes, right, that's what we expect every single game for the next 10 years out here. But this is why I've always said Rodri was the most important player, but Foden was our best player, because Rodri's levels never dropped. Foden went up levels last year, if that makes sense. That was Foden's best ever season. So it's chicken and the egg sort of scenario. Doesn't make him a bad player. He's just going through a bad time. There's an old saying, form's temporary, class is permanent. He'll come back. The same way Rico will come back. They'll all come back. But we've just got to accept it. Listen, we're not going to drop out the top 4. We'll make the top 4. But we just have to go with what we can this year. It is what it is. I've just sat and watched us win 4 league titles, a treble, 100 points, formidables. That couldn't carry on forever. That's why no other team's ever done it, because it doesn't carry on forever.
This is why, you're my bro, mine. I love you, but this is why I'm not feeling too much sympathy for City. It's crumbling right now because they've had 4 years of perfection. So I can't really sit there. Oh well, Yeah. But look, I think
every single club in world football will have swapped with us the last 4 years.
Exactly. And I don't mind admitting that. But look, I don't think it will last forever. I think that you will pick it up. They're talking about the best manager in the world here, and at the moment people are laughing at him because he's scratching his nose and God knows what. But when I look at it, I do feel like Pep will change something, and I don't think it will be City just keep losing now and they'll be like 6th or 7th. That's just not going to happen. You will definitely 100% turn this back around. Let me ask Roms, because I think there's an opportunity here, Roms. If you win at the weekend, a lot of people are going to start saying that's it, title's done. And I'm talking about Arsenal and Chelsea as well here. Like, I think that there'll be a lot of people that start to say that. Why would that not be fair, or would it be fair? Do you think it would be done if you won it this weekend?
If we won it this weekend, I do make us favourites, but I'm still the reason why I'm going to put my feet on the ground, right? Because I look at the two games immediately after, and I've said I think other fans might not agree with this. I do think we beat Man City. I've said that many times in the show, but I think one of the Newcastle or Everton games we'll drop points in. I'm not sure. I've been changing my mind all week. 1 minute I say Everton because their last game at Goodison, they're gonna want to give their fans a send off. We don't have the best record there. We don't lose a lot, but we draw a lot there. And then I'm thinking maybe Newcastle. We've won there the last 2 years, but they've been very like last minute in both occasions. I think one of them, because this idea that some of our fans go too early and like, oh, we're gonna win every game, the next 9 in a row. Football doesn't work like that. You're gonna get a few games where you drop a few points. I've said if we get 7 out of 9, so I think if we can afford to maybe draw one of the Everton or Newcastle game, not that I want to, but I think we get 7 out of 9 down. That's when I'm going to say I think we do win the league. Like, generally, I think we win the league, because I said this to you. Me and you done many shows, even after the Newcastle game, and I said it then so people don't think I'm reactionary. I said when Odegaard comes back, Arsenal will go on not an 8 or 9 unbeaten run. Arsenal will go on an 8 or 9 winning run, like consecutive, because you've done it last season. We've seen Arsenal do it. It's the back end of the season where you normally fall off. But this time, there used to be this thing where Arsenal used to fall off around February, March. But the last couple of years have kind of dispelled that. Like, you lot can go, I think from about January to March, you go normally on a nice run. I just think if we get 7 out of our next 9 points, I'll make us favourites. But I think we beat City. But the Newcastle and Everton game, I think people forgetting that they're both of them are going to be tough. But the momentum, and this is why I just want to keep winning, because momentum's key. That I don't want a draw to happen, then another draw follows it. Do you know what I mean? Do you remember what happened to you lot, Potts, last year? I don't think you lost the game. Or maybe it was the year before. Remember when you had like 2 or 3 draws in a row? And draws are worse than losses in title races. I've been saying this. If you have 2 games, I'd rather win and lose than get 2 draws, because you still get more points from the wins as you do the 2 points. So, yeah, but to answer your question, Potts, if we beat City, I'll start to believe that. You can't contain it. It's 11 points. It's 11 points clear of the team that's just done 4 in a row. Like, it'll be hard to contain. But if we,
do you know what it is, Rob? Right? Sorry to cut you. Right, I remember that, because the reason I'd cut you is because I literally found it. It was the 5th of October. You played Palace, right? You won 1-0. You remember, away from home, right? And then everyone started to then say to me, "Oh, do you think Liverpool might?" And I said, "Yeah, I think they could do, but it's now when it counts." And they were like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Well, they've got Chelsea, Leipzig, Arsenal, Brighton at home, Brighton away, Leverkusen, Aston Villa, Real Madrid." I said, "Us," and then they've got the Merseyside, City, and then Newcastle, Merseyside derby. You've got 3 left, and in the whole of that time, you've won them all other than against us, which you drew.
Yeah.
So, and I said on the 3rd of December, if you beat Everton, which I still think you will, by the way, I know the Merseyside derby's different, and it's the last one at Goodison, but they're crap, bro. Like, let's just have it right. You're going to beat them. Newcastle, I don't know what's going to happen there. They're inconsistent. They beat Arsenal, but then they lose to West Ham, and St James. It makes no sense, right? But for me, you get to that 3rd, then I'll be saying Liverpool win the league. At the time, I didn't believe Arsenal and City would be fallen off like they have, right? So I didn't think by then you could be potentially 11 points clear of City and 9 ahead of Arsenal, which you could be at the weekend if you beat them. So, and that's if Arsenal win as well, right? So I think that looking at that, anyone who ain't taking Liverpool seriously, give your heads a wobble, man. I had people putting them 5th at the start of the season on my channel, 4th, 5th, 6th.
I said it was a 3-horse race.
Big up, Chris. Do you know what, Potts? I actually have to give you a flowers, because I remember when you said it. You said after we beat Palace, I think Jota scored early and then we held out. It was one of them ugly wins, and Jaros came on second half. You did say, I think I was on the show with you, and you were getting asked, "Do you think Liverpool in the league?" Like, of course they could. Look at the players they have at their disposal, but you wanted to see these next 10 games. And like you said, we've only drew one of them and won the rest. And I remember you said if they get through this period and they're still top, then even I have to hold my hands up. So I remember when he actually said that. But yeah, I just think if we get 7 out of our next 9 points, because again, like I said, I think we beat City, but the Everton and Newcastle games, they're going to be 2 tough games. But if we get 7 out of 9 points, I'm saying it outright. I try and be level with these things. I've got PTSD. I try not to go too far ahead, but get 7 out of our next 9 points. I'll say we're winning this league, even with the injury.
Do you know what's mad? Do you know what's mad? Sorry, I know Roms is confident and everything I've just said. You look at our record at Anfield. I agree, we never win there, but we actually draw there a lot. We have drawn 3 out of the last 5. So, and now that's my only prayer and a hope this weekend is if we can sneak a draw, and God knows how we do it. I don't know how we do it. Don't even ask me tactically how we even do it, because Pep's never going to put 10 men behind the ball. But if we can keep it to 8 points, then we've got a very, very slim chance still to get to January. But I don't see us even getting a point. That's my big thing at the minute. I don't see us being able to keep Liverpool out at the other end. I could see us scoring at the weekend. I could see us scoring 2 goals, but I think we'll concede 4. That's the problem at the other end. I don't have a lot of faith in our defence and midfield at the minute. All I can do is get to January, pray we get a signing or 2, whether it's Edison, Zubamenda, Dick Van Dijk down the bloody road. I don't care who it is. We've just got to splash a bit of cash this January. And we're going to have to spend more than probably the players are worth, but that's the position we've put ourselves in now. We're going to have to pay that extra 20 million on top.
Do you know what it is? Do you know what, Martin, right? And obviously I'll let Drift go after this, right? But I actually said to one of my friends I was speaking to earlier, Pep, you literally said what I was going to say. Pep would never do this, but his best bet could be going against the grain. The best managers never do this and actually playing pragmatic. Because one team that did this season and our only loss was Forest. They parked the bus and we kind of struggled to break them down. Now, I think if you're going to go this high line and go for the game, which it's a double-edged sword because you kind of have to be in the position you're in, that's suicide at Anfield. That is generally suicide. But I said his best bet might be to just park a double-decker. But again, you're right. He won't do that. Pep's very stubborn. He won't do that at all. But there's another that I'm seeing now with some of my group chats. There's this narrative of how will Liverpool cope without Konate. But like I said earlier in the stream, Potts, Joey G and Van Dijk have won everything there is to win in football. I've got all faith in Joey G. If it was Kwanzaa coming in, I think the Ipswich game lowered his confidence. It might play on his mind, and there's been outside factors. But Joey G and Van Dijk, Joey G's not Konate, because like I said, I think Konate's been the best centre-back in the league this season, ahead of Van Dijk. However, them two as a partnership's won everything there is to win, and I'm ready for Sunday. I'm ready for Sunday. I'm not going to say it's going to be this battering, but I just think we get the 3 points. By hook or by crook, we get the 3 points, man.
Yeah, man. Drifty, listen, bro. Big up to you. Cheers for coming on, my guy. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and, no, apologies for the lateness, but big up, man.
Wow. Come on, bro. It's absolutely fine. Look, I can imagine you're confident. It's at Anfield, so I imagine you're probably confident anyway, to be honest, because Anfield, you guys are normally sick. But there's some injury problems on both sides. I know that Man City have got more because Rodri's a massive, massive blow. But obviously, Alisson, Jota are out. You've got no Calder Bradley and Konate now. So you're going to have a little bit of a mix-up yourself. Still confident, though, that you can get the job done. And if you do, is that City out of it for you?
On the injury thing, we've had quite a few injuries all season, bro. But thankfully, because of something I said during the summer that everybody looked at me sideways for, which was we got the best squad in the league, we've been all right dealing with them. I remember at the beginning of the season, everybody looked at me like I was some kind of psycho when I said Liverpool's got the best squad in the league. But I believed it. I believe man for man, position for position on the pitch, we have better backup overall than everybody else does. And to be honest with you, City and Arsenal's injury problems up until now and the amount of things I've heard the fans say, I guess I was right. You know what I mean? Because if the squads are so good from City and Arsenal in comparison, then I think the fans wouldn't have been as upset without a few key players missing. And Roms will back me on this. People acting like Jota and Alisson aren't key players missing for my team.
Yeah, starters, they come straight in.
It's crazy, bro. It's crazy. But this Ibu news has hit hard. And I would actually now say this is almost slightly
making an equaliser in regards to who's missing from this game. Although City will claim Rodri's the most important player out of everybody in the league to them. But I think now no Ibu, no Jota, and no Alisson, that's the spine, Roms, if I'm being honest with you, right?
Yeah.
That's almost the spine. So I know we still got Mo, Virgil, and some, but that's just because we got a great squad. The quality the players missing now are a big deal. So the Man City thing's a slight equalizer to a degree. If you take away their form and you just think about the injuries, well, they got Kovacic, Rodri, and Doku, I think, are their key injuries, right? In terms of like players that would normally be first 11. Everybody else from their first 11 is kind of fit. Stones, Akanji, Ake,
Stones
Diaz
is out.
back. Oh, Stones missing.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
Am I right, man?
mate.
Stones, KDB, Diaz.
Oh, is KDB missing? I thought KDB was back now.
I thought he come on the bench.
No, he's basically the 15-minute man at the minute because that's all he can do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, I guess the injuries are kind of similar, except I accept Rodri is the most high profile out of all of them.
Yeah, that's fair.
So it's evened itself out a little bit. It has evened itself out a little bit on the injury front. Losing Ibu for 6 weeks now was kind of even things out a little bit on the injury front. It's just the form that's the massive difference. Right now, City's form is terrible and Liverpool's form is brilliant. So I have to bounce into the game with confidence, bro. But football don't work like this, Daddy. You know just as well as I do, bro. Anyone who's been watching football for a long time understands. If that was the case, I remember, I think it was back in 1920 or 1819, one of those two, we rocked up to Old Trafford. They're in the worst shape we've ever seen. Bobby Firmino gets injured 5 minutes into the game. We draw the game 0-0.
Yeah.
Last season, Man United knocked us out the FA Cup. Explain that. How the hell did that happen? We went to Arsenal earlier, what, a month ago? Wounded animal. We're supposed to get 3 points. Arsenal were the better team on the day overall, most likely. Yeah. Man United got a draw with us last season, a week after knocking us out the FA Cup. How did they manage to do that?
Do you know what, Drift, bro? I said, just before you jumped in, I said, sometimes in football, right, playing a team and their backs against the wall and everyone's writing them off, they could be at their most dangerous. I know City are in bad form, but like you said, football, if everything was so linear and everything was so guaranteed, I think everyone would be rich. You just predict things and they'll happen. Football's not like that. Yeah. So you're spot on, bro. I was literally saying this. That's why I'm not predicting no mad scoreline. Like, I think we get the 3 points, but I've seen, most fan bases do this. I've seen some madness today. And it's like, let's try and keep a lid on this because they still have individuals on their given day that can turn the game on its head.
Yeah, of course. And that's how it goes. And as you said, if Nottingham Forest, even though they're in absolute brilliant form at the time and continue to be right up until recently, came and got all 3 points, then Man City can. Because Man City have a better team than Nottingham Forest, even with their injuries. Do you get what I mean? They're just in bad form. I also hate the fact that Man City are in such poor form. Because football is normally like life. At some point, it will change. I would rather they're only like 3 games into this losing streak. Not, 6 losses and a draw or 5 losses and a draw. I don't want that because they're going to turn the corner at some point. This is Pep and this is City. And I'm worried it's going to be against us because can anybody here imagine a headline that says Man City have lost 6 out of the last 7 games, including only a draw during that time? That I don't imagine that ever being a headline. And that's what I'm like, I'm messing with myself because I'm like, how are we supposed to beat City? Because they don't lose like this. They don't go on these losing runs and have all of these defeats in a row. And Pep's going to figure this out at some point. Do you know what I mean? So everything points to Liverpool supposed to win this game, but my PTSD is telling me that this ain't going to go the way it's supposed to go, and it's going to really get my nerves because after Arsenal hand West Ham their arse on the Saturday and reduce the deficit to 5 points, I think it'll be, or 6 points at that point, then if we don't win, then they've already made up points on us from what we've perceived to have been a healthy lead. Do you know what I mean? Remember, people keep saying Liverpool got to lose. Yes. The theory is Liverpool got to lose, but 5 draws also puts Arsenal back ahead of us if they go on a run. And 5 draws across the rest of the season is a very normal thing to happen. There's 27 games left. We could easily draw 5 games. So I'm not writing Arsenal off at all. And the only thing I will say, Dan, if we do beat City, fingers crossed, more than likely the way they're playing, maybe it puts them out of it just. I think 11 points might just be a bit too much for City based on how they're playing, because they might not lose in a row, but at some point they might drop some other points as well, even before January, maybe when they can get their reinforcements. So I don't think anybody's out of it, but it will be extremely difficult for City if we get the W.
Yeah, man. Look, I actually put City out of it if you beat them in the weekend, because I just think the way they're playing and 11 points, that means you've got to drop 4 games and City have got to win them all. But that just ain't happening, in my opinion. And I think likewise, Arsenal probably out of the title race right now until things change, potentially this weekend. But, you know, we've still got to win our game. And I know West Ham, people will laugh and say that's a breeze, but you just know it ain't when it's such a big weekend, and it's massive for Arsenal and Chelsea, to be fair, to beat Villa. So, I mean, look, I think that Liverpool win this game. I just think Liverpool will have too much for them. I've gone 3-1. I wanted to get some of your predictions before we come to a move. So, Drifty, let's start with you, bruv. What are you saying this weekend, man?
I'm going to go with the most modest of 2-1s you've ever seen in your life, then. There ain't going to be no spanking, people. Please, everybody, like, we're not going to do what we did to Real Madrid and win the game with ease. We're not going to do what we've been doing to a couple other teams this season. Man City are going to turn into another beast this weekend, even if, you know, their form don't suggest it. So 2-1, I think.
Roms?
Great man's been collapsed. That's my exact scoreline. 2-1. I think it'll be I think we go ahead, they equalize, and I think it's 1-1 for the majority of the game. And I'm not just saying this from a biased perspective. I can see a last minute. Let me not say last minute. I can see maybe the last 10 minutes we get the winner there and Anfield erupts, but by no means it's going to be easy. When I'm seeing people saying we're going to batter them pillar to post, look at their form. Football's a funny game, but I do think we win 2-1.
And I will say, City, don't wind anybody up. That's one. If I can just give you a bit of advice that you should definitely listen to, don't wind anybody up. The moment you trigger someone in our team and the crowd gets up for it, that could be the moment you lose the match. So don't wind anybody up.
Drift, I was going to say, because even on Wednesday, I was fortunate enough to go to the game, right? And just before Bradley's tackle, Real Madrid was just passing it about. It kind of went a bit flat. And the minute Bradley put in that tackle to Mbappe, the stadium erupted, bro, and then we end up going on. I think we scored not shortly after that, but I think chances started to come after that. So you're right. We've seen incidents where Xhaka pisses off the crowd. When Sterling tried to drape up Gomez, and then we scored after that. Like, you're right, Drift. Whenever there's an incident against one of our players, the stadium something comes over the stadium, bro. So yeah,
even the Brighton game the other day, I can't remember who it was, but one of the Brighton players must have like kicked out a Trent or something. I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
And then as soon as he did that, boom, crowd erupted. And I remember some people saying they feel like it was actually the crowd that won the game that day, because we weren't that great against Brighton in that game. But you know what I mean? Once the crowd gets erupted, it does something different. So yeah, man.
Yeah, listen, Big O, I think it's going to be a mad game. Dan, what are you telling me?
I'm going to go for a City win just to throw the cat amongst the pigeons. I'm gonna say 3-2 City. Why not?
Drug test.
I hope Villa get the win now, Dad.
I'll be honest. I think Liverpool are massive favourites, but wouldn't it be the Premier League if City just somehow bring a win out of nowhere? So I'm just going to throw it in there.
It would be typical City. That old phrase, typical City, would literally. I mean, the one thing I've enjoyed about the last 6 weeks has been literally it's been like the 90s again. But you've all seen it. We're all sat there going, we're effing shit and everything else. It's amazing. It's been like 1999 all over again.
Do you know what it is, Martin? I blame Oasis, man. They said they're going on tour and it's rolled back to 1996. And that's City.
I mean, it's like the 90s again, isn't it? City of shit, Oasis are back. I feel like I'm in a time warp.
I liked it like that.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed those times when Paul Dickoff was up front. Do you know what I mean? But, you know, listen, I don't see City winning this. I know people think like it's typical and it's like, I just don't know how Liverpool don't win that midfield battle no matter what City put out there. And I think that's where the game's won. So that's why I'm quite convinced that Liverpool will pick up 3 points, which I think for Arsenal is the worst as well, because I'd rather City win or Liverpool. Do I really want to draw, if I'm honest? But I'd rather City win if I had to get one team to win. Liverpool win this, like, if we win, we're still 9 points. Like, do you know what I mean? And they played City. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's difficult, but Football is football, man. Football is football. Let's move quickly to the last couple of games I wanted to touch on because we do need to mention Arsenal and Chelsea.
I'm going to have to shoot because I'm about to lose my second leg out.
Brother, you go. I appreciate you joining, man. I know it's hard times for you at the moment, so I hope you get home soon, bro.
Yeah, by the way, I'm going to get home about midnight this right. By the way, I'm going 4-2 Liverpool.
Oh, man, I didn't even ask you, did I? 4-2 Liverpool, wow.
I'm going 4-2 Liverpool. I think it will be a basketball game. I think City will score, but Liverpool, I don't know. We just couldn't keep anything clean at the minute. It is what it is.
Big up to you, bro. Listen, man, I appreciate
you.
Anyway,
take care, all.
Yeah, you too, bro. In a bit, bro. We might as well mention Arsenal, Chelsea. Look, oh God, if we drop points against West Ham, that's going to be a horrible Sunday. I'll tell you this now. It's only going to be fun for me if we win. If we don't beat them,
you'll win this one, bro. Wow. You'll win this one easy, bro.
Surely, the way we're playing, I've been impressed the last 2 games. I can't lie. I think we've been brilliant to watch. I think it's gone back to the kind of Arsenal that we all thought it was going to turn up to try and win and counter a title challenge on this season. I don't see how we don't win this game because West Ham under Lopetegui have not impressed me at all. And I appreciate that anything can happen in football, and I appreciate that they're now off the back of a win at St James's Park. But I just don't see how Arsenal don't take 3 points here. Does anyone think they could be an upset on the panel?
Not a chance. They don't even have Kudus. Not a chance, bro. No, they might make it a bit harder than people think because I reckon it's going to be 3-0. Maybe it might be 2-1, maybe or something like that. Maybe they'll make a better game of it than I anticipate. But you're going to steamroll them. I was looking at the fixtures, Dan. January, me and big up Jamie. Jamie's in the chat as well. Me and Jamie was sharing fixtures. Yeah, January is when it's going to get difficult for Arsenal. But I definitely think you're going to collect maximum points before the new year. Your fixtures are very favourable until the new year. I know a lot of people are looking at the Man U game and they're going, oh, but it's Man U. Yeah, on paper, it's Man U. But this trying to figure it out, Man United ain't touching Arsenal. Not right now. This is way too early for Amrim. Maybe the return game when he's had his feet under the table, maybe like the one in the second half of the season. But he ain't going to be able to get them ready for you in a week's time. So, yeah.
Do you know what I was hoping, bro? I was hoping West Ham lost to Newcastle. Lopetegui got the sack, and then they had new manager bounce going into this game. This is what I was hoping. I agree with you. I don't think Arsenal just win this. I think last season was 6-7. I think it was a ridiculous scoreline.
6, yeah.
Yeah, I can see it being something similar. And I said again after the Newcastle game, everyone's just saying Arsenal are out of this. They're 9 points adrift now. And I said, look, for me, Odegaard's your best player. I know some people might say Saka and whatnot, but he's the linchpin. Everything goes through him. I think when Odegaard's out, which is evident, as good as Saka is, goals are still reliant on him. No one else really chips in. But now Odegaard's one of them players that makes everyone around him play well also. And I think they're very important in football. So I said once he comes back, I don't think, again, I said to you earlier, Potts, I don't think you'll go on an unbeaten run. I think you go on a winning run. Like, not just unbeaten. I'm talking about maybe an 8-9 game winning run. And I can see this being a battering tomorrow, man. I can just see it. Like just said that. No Kudus as well. That's normally their talisman. Him or Bowen they look to go to. Bowen's not really in. I know he had a class game against Newcastle earlier in the week, but before that, he's not been in the best of form. But yeah, man, I think you win this comfortably, Potts, man.
Look, I think that we can, and I think that we should, and I do think that we will. You talk about what we've got coming up, and I'm with you. I actually believe that we can and should be collecting some serious points up until now, until the new year. And the reason I say that is we don't actually leave London until January now, home and away. So we're in London, then we go away to teams like Crystal Palace, Fulham, Brentford. And if you look, after West Ham, we're still in London. We've got Man United as drifted. Then we go to Fulham. Then we're back at home in the Champions League to Monaco. Then we're at home to Everton. Home in the Carabao Cup to Palace. Then we go away to Palace, still in London. Then we're back in London at home against Ipswich. Then we're in London still in the new year for Brentford. And then we only travel to Brighton, which, let's be real, from London is a couple of hours away. Yeah. Then we're back for the North London derby, 15th of January. Then 18th of January, we're still in London. Yeah, then we're still in London for the Champions League game because it's Zagreb at home. So it's only when we go to Wolves, which is only in the Midlands on the 25th of Jan. Yeah, and then we travel to Girona in the 29th of January. So basically, we've got a trip to Brighton, Wolves and Girona. But that's it, Brighton and Wolves until we meet Girona. So we really should. We've got these fixtures they're not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but they're easier and they're kinder than they have been because we've had a bit of a rough schedule, to be fair. I know people made it as an excuse, but when you go to the away games we have, plus the 3 away games that we've had, all are in the top 7 of the Champions League. Inter Milan, top in the group, we went away there. Atalanta, who I think currently sitting 4th. Sporting Lisbon, who we've just beaten for the first time, lost the game in 18 months, or whatever the hell it is. For me, I look at it and think, yeah, that's been tough. Villa away on top of that. We've had Liverpool at home, City away, Spurs away, North London derby. It ain't been easy. Stamford Bridge, we've been there. Like, let's be real, man. It ain't been easy for us.
That's the thing, Dan, right? On top of all the fixtures you just read out about not leaving London, I was chatting to Rory earlier and he said your record away in London is actually fantastic as well. So, like, you're not just not leaving London. You normally win all of those games as well or get very good results. And then when you actually look at your running, the games that you've had against the bigger teams have been more difficult because they've been away. Most of your games against the biggest teams now are going to be at home going into like the final bit of the season as well. So you got a really favourable run in. And obviously Odegaard back is just, I mean, there's a number of players in this Arsenal side that just look a level above what they did a couple of weeks ago already. Timber, Gabriel, Odegaard, like this Arsenal team look like they're sort of back to where they were. I'm expecting 4 or 5 against West Ham like you did last season, to be honest.
Do you know what, Dan? Just to add on to that as well, the best time to not want to travel is in the December winter period, the most hectic time. That's the time you would want to travel less. I didn't know that, Potts. That's actually mad. I didn't know that you don't leave London until basically 2 months' time. If you leave at the end of January. So,
but you know what that means, Roms? No excuses now, man. I'm sick and tired of the fan base telling me this because of this, it's because of that, it's because of this. Like, go win your games, man. We don't leave London until what did I just say? 29th of January, we go to Girona. Other than a trip to Wolves and Brighton.
2 months a day. I think you got
there's a 10-week, a 10-day gap in there. So I don't know whether you'll go away for like a warm winter training thing or something like that. But
goodbye.
Yeah, you did before, Dan, didn't you? It like changed your fortunes a little bit. To be fair,
do you know what's crazy though, guys? Yeah, I don't know if I'm being like I don't know if I'm just being a conspiracy theorist here or whatever. But if you play at home that much, could it not flip the other way and be a bit of a complacency thing of like, you know, like maybe away games sometimes like, you know, shakes you up a bit, wakes you up a bit. Like if you're just playing at home all the time and always, won't you get a bit familiar and then that could be a bit more of a chance for complacency to kick in or for you to not be as switched on because you get comfortable. Because we all know the worst time in life for anything to go wrong is when things let you get comfortable and you relax a bit and you take your eye off the ball a bit.
And
is there that could be the case playing at home that much in a row?
That's why we can't allow ourselves to. Do you know what I mean? So obviously we're not playing at home the whole time. It's just that we don't our away games at all the London teams. So obviously we're not just playing Emirates. But I get what you mean. It could be that, but that's why it needs. That's this where the players and the manager have to earn their money for me, because you don't get complacent.
Do you know?
Yeah, but then there's no excuse for like travel and things like that now.
Exactly,
as well.
and tiredness, exhaustion, all this crap. Yeah, none of that. None of that.
To add on to what Drift said as well, I think you would agree, Pot. She's probably been better at home than better away from home than at home this season. And even in the last couple title races, a lot of your shock results have come at home. I remember the pivotal day when we both lost at home, Palace and Palace and you lot Villa. For me, that's the day City basically ran away with it. We know what they're like, and do you know what I mean? But Drift makes a good point. I think Arsenal at the Emirates kind of come under more pressure than they do away from home, and that's a bit backward. Normally, it's the other way around. So no, that's a fair point.
We have actually, to be fair, we've dropped 4 points at home and 10 away, but that's because we lost to Bournemouth and Newcastle on top of drawing.
Yeah, and come in quick.
Cluster, but look, I don't really care about this home and away stuff. We just need to start winning football matches, and the performances I saw against Forest and Sporting Lisbon proves that we can do it. He took the shackles off. Arteta's just got this weird overthinking obsession with like defending and not conceding goals when times are tough. Like he needs to just let it go, man. You're going to lose games. Just go back and do what you know. Because for me, we were just playing this ridiculous football, and that's why we dropped a hell of a lot. And I know that people don't like, Dan just hates Arteta. It ain't that. Like I was looking at this brother to actually change things up. And now he has. It might be too late because we're 9 points behind Liverpool. So I will go back to this period, just like last season. I went back to the period where we lost to West Ham, Fulham, and the season before that, where we lost to you guys. Drop points from being 2-0 up at Anfield, drew at West Ham, drew at Southampton. All these clusters that Arteta likes, they've cost us every single season, and his in-game management at times was poor in all three of those seasons. So it will come back to that again if we don't win something. And it might not be that we won the league, fair enough. We've got to go and win something else for me. So look, we're playing well at the moment. I like the fact that we've got West Ham. I do think it's a good time to play them. I know they've just won, but I think Lopetegui is poor. I don't think they've got anything. Kudus is poor. So look, I might get clipped up in it. I might get egg on my face, but I really imagine that this should be a quite convincing performance should our right-hand side turn up the way that it has in the first two games that I've watched, because we've been electric down that right. Timber's been unbelievable. Erdegaard, you're correct. Saka, unbelievable. Partey has been immense. People aren't talking about him enough. He's been outstanding.
I was just going to say, bro, say to Kai, I think a lot of people are sleeping on Partey's. Like, I'll never, ever wish injuries on people, but because he's the type of player that can get injuries, injury prone or whatever you call it, with Rice being in such poor form, keeping him fit is very key to you guys progressing. Because I agree with Roms that Odegaard's your best player. I said he was the one who, if he goes, you'll see the cracks, and he left. And I said it ain't Saliba, Gavis, none of those guys. It's Odegaard, because he is the one who does what Bobby Firmino used to do for us and links everything in the attack. Yeah. But Partey's form, Dan, you're right, has been so good in the last, say, 2 months. Maybe not right at the beginning, but the last 2 months, his form has been brilliant. Even when the team ain't been playing well. Rice don't look at it. Rice looks like the type of player to me who's played more football than he should have.
100%.
I've always said this, and you got to be worried that Saka could go down that road as well, because Arteta rinses the shit out of him as well.
Man.
And so do England, to be fair. So, yeah, Partey staying fit is very key for you, bro, because Moreno, Rice, and whoever in there without Partey right now is not holding it down on their form. So, yeah, Partey's definitely important.
I agree, man. I totally agree. I think Partey's been our best player this season, but quite some distance, to be fair. In terms of consistency, let's touch on Chelsea before we close. I heard a stat today, right, that if Villa lose this game, they could be 12th, and they've conceded 6 more goals than Man United. Now, I'm not saying Emery deserves to be sacked or anything, because that's a madness because of the job he's done. But are we overlooking Villa a bit here by like the season that they're having? Are they actually having a great season?
They're 1 win in 7 or something like that.
Yeah, they're not being spoken about that, man.
But I think we have to do a little bit of context with Villa, and I'm not trying to babysit them or little bro them, but they're doing things they're not supposed to be doing, and that's why the credit has always been there. And if you look at a few of their games, especially that Juve game, as recent, like they should have won that game. That was a skank. Let's be honest, that was a skank. That goal, that whole situation there was a bit weird. And some of their performances, you look and you go, bro, how the hell did they not win that? They're not playing crap. They're not all over the place. They're not disjointed. They're just losing. Apart from the Tottenham game, that was the only game when I'll be like, whoa, what happened there? But for the most part, I don't think they're losing games in an embarrassing way, or it's quite unlucky. So, I mean, can they bounce back? It'll be so typical, like we're saying about the City situation, for them to go and beat Chelsea after this poor run when they're not supposed to win this game. Chelsea are the favourites, and I think they'll win. It'll be just like the Premier League for this to be the weekend Villa turn it around. So let's not jump on their back too much, because they're not meant to be doing what they're doing. They are punching way above their weight. I mean, they won the first 3 or 4 games in the Champions League. It's the first time they've been back here for like 30 years, isn't it? Or something like that.
Do you know what though, Drift? Yeah, I said at the start of the season, not because they're a bad team, but because they're not used to the Wednesday, Saturday. I said they would finish round 7th or 8th. I think they'll have a slight drop off, and that's not because they've got bad players. I think they've got players in their team that most of the other top 6 would take, but because they're not used to this, I feel like it will interrupt their league form. I expected this from Villa this season. Again, not because they're a bad side. I think they're quality and they can give anyone a game on their day. But this doesn't really surprise me too tough. But they've got a manager that should be able to deal with it because he's got good pedigree in Europe. But I just think they're actual players. The manager's used to it, but the players aren't. Especially a vast majority of them. Maybe you might have a few that's been at clubs that have been in the Champions League beforehand. But yeah, man, it doesn't really surprise me. But again, this Barclays Premier League City, you know, before you came on, I was so confident of the City game, but you first fan in the works, and I've actually deeped it. This season in particular, bro, you just get the mad results. And would we be surprised if Villa go to the bridge and beat Chelsea? We wouldn't. We actually wouldn't. So Yeah, it's an interesting one, man, and they both got good attacking prowess. I'm looking forward to that game. I think that's the one before us, so should be a good game, man.
12 o'clock, I think that one is, isn't it, Dan? I think Chelsea Villa, isn't it? Is it 12? 12:30?
2 or 12. It's Sunday. I can't remember. Yeah.
Oh, is it 2? Okay. Oh, yeah. I know it's the
them.
earlier game. Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely the earlier one because I think City Liverpool is a 4:30. So it's the one. It is definitely before that. But yeah, no, there's football on like all weekend, isn't there? I mean, me and Dan were saying the other day, there's football on like literally all the way up till New Year's Day now by like 2 days. So it's just non-stop.
Crazy.
It's fun.
It is,
it's
man.
fun. You lot better win as well, Dan, because I'm putting £100 on Arsenal to win every single week.
Do you know what? It's going to be a difficult game.
So don't lose me my money, bro.
This game for the last couple of seasons has been difficult for Chelsea to navigate, to be fair. I think we drew in the FA Cup. We lost in the league last season. Villa being that much out of form always worries me because I feel like Chelsea in recent years have been the team to get a team off their losing streak. And my worry is both teams actually off the back of their European or midweek fixtures, their records aren't great. The Villas haven't been great. And Chelsea's, I mean, considering we rest our squad or our best 11 for pretty much every midweek game, our results haven't been great. I think we've only won one. I think that was against Newcastle. And other than that, we've drawn every other game, I think. Off the back of the midweek.
I think Chelsea win this game. I think Chelsea win this at the Bridge. I'm not saying that Villa are like walkovers, but I think this could be a high-scoring game. With the high line Emery plays, with the goals that Chelsea score, with the goals that Chelsea concede, to be fair. I know that your defence isn't a shambles, but with Sanchez in goal, you've always got a chance of him throwing one in the net. Do you know what I mean? So I can see this being like a 3-2 Chelsea, if I'm honest. I think this could be a really good game, and I think this could be one of the games of the weekend, in fact. I just think both teams are at the moment like it's just set up for that. Now I've said that, it'd probably be 0-0 then.
Do you know what? I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if there were goals in this game. I really want to see a big performance from Cole Palmer, to be honest. I feel like it's been a little bit quiet recently, and I feel like Chelsea have been going about their business, but Cole's been a little bit quiet, and I want to see him sort of step it up a gear, to be honest with you.
Yeah, look, Cole Palmer.
I actually think there are players in Chelsea's team that are putting up numbers, like Nkunku, who's probably thinking, look, if he's not scoring, I'm ready to go here. And I'm not suggesting for any minute that you drop Cole Palmer, but players of Nkunku's quality aren't going to be happy playing 10 minutes every week in the Prem. They're just not going to be happy.
No, I agree. I think Palmer, look, I rate Palmer highly. I think he's ridiculously talented. But I do think this season there has been times where he's been played out of the game by people just changing the way that they play against Chelsea because they've seen him as the main threat. And I think that's why I've had so much respect and love for players like Saka, who for the last 3 years have had 2 players on him for most of this game every single season. And I think that this was the season when I said to Chelsea fans, just calm down, just watch Palmer this season because people don't know what he's about. They didn't know last season because he wasn't playing at City and he was absolutely waltzing past players. I'm not saying he's had a bad season because he's still got 7 goals and he's still been good. But there has been a few games now against Liverpool, against us, there was another one as well, City was it, where he got eaten up and he didn't really get much that come out for him. So I do think it could be quite interesting. Look, let's get some predictions quickly for Chelsea and Villa. Drifty, what are you saying for that game, bruv?
Shall I return the bad man favour? Say I think Villa's gonna win.
Go for it, man.
No. You know, I'm gonna go 2-2. I think it would just be crazy for this to be the game that Villa stop their rot and then maybe get back on track. But again, I mean this with no shade to you, Potts, obviously. But I need Arsenal to feel pressure. So Dan, I'm kind of relying on Chelsea to keep staying above Arsenal to like add the pressure. Do you know what I mean? Because they can't only just be looking at Liverpool. I need there to be another team that's giving them something to think about. So if Chelsea keep winning and keep staying on goal difference just above Arsenal, it keeps Arsenal with one eye on another team. So yeah, come on the Chelsea. Let's go 2-1 Chelsea.
There we go, man. There we go. I think Chelsea will. Roms, what you saying?
I'm gonna go 3-2 Chelsea. I think Chelsea win, but there's goals in this. I think there's goals in this, man. Yeah.
Dan?
Yeah, I'm gonna say 3-1 Chelsea.
Okay. Interesting. Listen, it's a mad weekend. It is going to be a very interesting day, particularly on Sunday, but definitely on Saturday, because Arsenal just have to win, man. I just need my boys to do the business so I can relax on Sunday and enjoy it. Big up to every single one of you, man. Big up to Roms. Big up to mine for coming on earlier. Bless him. Big up to Dan and big up to you, Drifty. Make sure you go follow all of these guys, man. You've got all of their handles there. All putting out content. They're all sharing content with other content creators on YouTube as well. So please make sure you go and show them some love. Make sure you show us some love here. Make sure you hit the like button and you hit subscribe. I'll be back across the weekend for more chat on what's been going on. And I'm kind of looking forward to it, man. I can't lie. So big up to all of you guys in the chat. And look, we'll see you next time, people. We're out of here.
Peace.